reads and speaks Arabic. Walid, line 10, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Walid, you wrote an article, What the Media is Not Telling You About the Muslim Who Attacked Donald Trump. You're saying he is a Muslim. Well, why don't you say what you say? I don't want to say what you said. Who is this man, Khizr Muazzam Khan?
Well, he stems from the times when Saudi Arabia had an agenda. You can Google it, just look at Saudi Manifesto and Shoebat, you'll see it. And the agenda was to basically use Sharia law, use the Muslim minority affairs, which is using Muslim minorities in foreign countries to advance the causes of Sharia. And that stems from his work in Saudi Arabia, in which he wrote the juristic classification of Islamic Sharia law. It's in Arabic now. I didn't read the full Arabic because time is of the essence. However, the contribution of this writ that he did, he states, emphatically, the contribution to this article of Saeed Ramadan writing is gratefully acknowledged. Well, Saeed Ramadan, who's basically collaborated with him, is the grandson of Hassan al-Banna. Hassan al-Banna was the godfather of the Muslim Brotherhood. So who's this guy fooling? And this whole notion that his son was defending the U.S., well, we can go back to history from Ronald Reagan. Muslims gladly joined to fight all the regimes of the Middle East, from Syria now, as we see, to Iraq.
Well, but let's go back to the father. We're talking about the DNC, Walid, where Hillary cynically used a man whose heart was broken because his son died defending America in combat. That we all agree on, that his son is a hero, correct?
Well, no, I don't agree with that notion at all. Because, we need to look at, first of all, the Muslims who served in the U.S. military. You got Bobby Bergdahl, you got Nidal Malik Hassan, you got Ali Muhammad, who was an Al-Qaeda operative in the U.S. You got Taha Jabir al-Alawani, whom Abedin, her aide, quoted him, and he's in the U.S. military. And he even called for a war in the U.S. He called for Muslims to fight against the infidels. I can show you the quotes from the Journal for Muslim Minority Affairs, written by Huma Abedin. So to make the argument that these Muslims are joining the military because they want to serve this country, I can give you my own brother. He served in the U.S. Air Force, and his allegiance is very clearly towards the Islamists and towards, the Palestinian cause.
Wait, your brother? You're speaking now about your brother?
Yeah, my own brother. He guarded your nuclear facilities. He was part of the program when Jimmy Carter was going to thwart the Iranians, and the choppers fell into the desert. Remember that one? And he was...
Wait. Your brother served in the Air Force, and you say his allegiance was not with America. You're saying it was with the Palestinians. So may I say, where is your brother today?
He's in the U.S.
I assume you don't break PETA together.
Absolutely not. It's over. Once you fight the cause, their cause, it's death threats. I had to hide, from my own family. My own father sent me threats. So this whole notion of Muslims joining the military and they love America and they fight for America is absolute bullocks if you look at the record. How many Americans died trying to retrieve Bergdahl, who joined the Taliban? And what was the Taliban fighting before even Taliban in Afghanistan? They were working with the Americans even during Ronald Reagan.
All right, so Hillary Clinton takes this Muslim man to the stage of the DNC in Philly last week, and he delivers a speech against Donald Trump, which the vermin in the media celebrate. And then, of course, even Republican backstabbers like McConnell and others swoon at this backstabber. And then it gets even worse. This controversial statement that Trump allegedly made. Mr. Khan then goes on CNN, I think last night. I've got to find that one. He goes on Meet the Press, and he implores that McConnell get rid of Donald Trump from the election. Do we have that soundbite? I can't put my fingers on it. Whatever that soundbite may be. He goes on last night, and he goes even further than he did at the convention. And he says, here it is. He goes on MSNBC. This is the father now. And he demands this in clip number 8. Let's hear it, Jim.
we are private, ordinary American citizens. This political theater, political drama has heated up a little too much for us. We participated. This was our first convention. We participated just to be there, to be part of the tribute to our son.
All right, hold on. Walid, hold on, and everyone else. Listen to clip 9. This is the father, Captain Khan's father, on MSNBC in clip 9.
I share this with you, and I share this with your audience. The other half is addressed to the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell. What a patriot, decent human being. What a leader he is.
Oh, God.
And then Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, leading the majority in the United States House of Representatives. What a patriot, decent human being he is. But isn't it this time to repudiate Trump?
So he's making a big mistake by talking about McConnell and Ryan as patriots and decent human beings. I don't believe most people believe that, who know who they really are. But it gets even worse as he now gets out the sword and tries to drive it into Trump's campaign in clip 10. Listen to this.
Appeal to both of these leaders. This is the time, there comes a time in the history of a nation where ethical, moral stand has to be taken, regardless of the political cost. The only reason they're not repudiating this, his behavior, his threat to our democracy, our decency, our foundation, is just because of political consequences.
Okay, Walid, what do you think of Mr. Khan's statements on MSNBC about Trump?
Well, it's absolutely rubbish. Trump wants to stop the war in the Middle East. He wants to stop the war in Syria. He doesn't mind even working with Putin into making peace in the world. So to say, to claim that, he's pro-America, then he would be calling, first of all, as I am doing, if I'm from the Middle East, to stop the hideous wars. Politicians have drug us, both Republican, Democrat, it matters nothing. They drug us into a huge war in the Middle East. Right now there's Islamists working with Americans, fighting in Syria. It's not only somebody who's joining the U.S. military fights in Syria, but there are Syrians who are Islamists, who are allegiances to even Erdogan of Turkey, who's an Islamist. And they're fighting in Syria, and trained by the United States, trained by Obama. So if he truly wants peace and all these things, and he's a man of peace, he would be calling for what Donald Trump is doing, and that is to stop the hideous wars in the Middle East. So why?
Did you see that our, quote, Syrian rebel shot down a Russian humanitarian aid helicopter and dragged the pilot's body through the dirt and then crushed his head by stepping on it? Did you see that story today?
No, I haven't seen it, but it doesn't faze me. Why?
Wait. Syrian body of Russian pilot is dragged through the dirt and stamped on after helicopter shot down by Syrian rebels. The question is, where did they get the weapons to shoot down the Russian Mi-8 helicopter carrying 3 crew and 2 officers? Who are the Syrian rebels, and who gave them the equivalent of the Stinger missile to shoot down this helicopter? The answer is obvious. It's the military-industrial complex in this nation that wants war with Russia. And that's exactly the essence of this whole story, is it not, Walid?
Absolutely correct. It is the anti-Russian sentiment that wants to stop Putin from entering into the Mediterranean. It wants to stop Putin for claiming Crimea. It wants to stop Putin at his track. That is the whole idea. We're still living in this Cold War mentality in America.
Yes, which is being fanned by the anti-Trump forces, both domestic and foreign. They want, if not an overt war, they certainly don't want a nuclear exchange with Russia. Everybody would lose. But they want an armed intervention against Russia in Ukraine, in Syria, in order to sell weapons to both sides. That's what I see. It's a nightmare to watch World War I starting again.
It's World War III, for sure. Look at the Incirlink in Turkey. We collaborate with Turkey. It's part of NATO. They surround 7,000 Muslim Brotherhood affiliates for Erdogan, and they stop the food. and they do all kinds of things. We have 20% of NATO's nuclear weapons. These are, very sophisticated nuclear weapons, hydrogen bombs, 20% in Incirlik. And we've seen an Islamist revolution, July 15th, a takeover by Erdogan's government of Turkey. This is the second largest army in NATO after the United States.
And Obama, of course, backed him as he closed schools, churches, closed universities, arrested school children. Obama backed him. Now, Walid, today, this was shocking. Jay Johnson of DHS granted temporary amnesty to 8,000 Syrians here in the United States of America. Who is Jay Johnson? Do you know anything about this man and why he's doing this?
No, I don't know much about Jay Johnson, but I do know about Obama's plan to bringing the Syrian refugees the same way Merkel is doing in Germany. And Obama is basically giving his farewell gift to the Muslim world, more Muslim immigrants in this country. Working with Erdogan of Turkey, maybe nuclear weapons, courtesy of Barack Hussein Obama. Who knows what's going to happen? But the immigration issue, we've seen the results in Germany. We've seen the results in the EU and the European Union. It's spreading at the seam as a result of this flood of Muslim immigration stemming from Turkey. And, in the speed dial of Obama is, of course, Rajab Tayyip Erdogan, who's becoming not just a hero. He is an Islamist hero because on July 15th, that's when the real coup happened. People don't pay attention to this real coup that Erdogan did in Turkey and to the Incirlik situation that we have. This is a major issue because this really tickles the ears of Islamists globally. And that is, they say Constantinople will be reconquered by Islam. Well, Erdogan just did that, July 15th, firing 3,000 judges, replacing military apparatus with Islamists, replacing the judiciary, the school system, everything you can think of. What do these entities have to do with the so-called coup? Absolutely nothing. It is a coup of a coup that basically reestablished an Islamist hegemony in the most powerful nation in the world.
So why are so many forces in this nation, including liberals like crazy people, who would be punished severely by Islamists, why are they in favor of smearing Trump almost 24/7? What do they think they will gain by flooding America with Sharia adherent Muslims? What is in it for them?
Because we must understand the liberal mindset is not a naivete when it comes to the Islamic thinking mindset. Islamic mindset is not like a Christian mindset in America. They don't believe that life begins at the moment of conception. They believe in also socialism. They believe in a creative Big Bang. There is a lot in common between the rebellious element in the United States and the Islamists. They don't think that the danger will come to their ground because they really focus on Russia. The clear picture of this whole wars is Russia. So they in fact, as I wrote this article, all the attacks is against me, saying that I was never in prison, I was a fraud. I can show United Nations records showing my bombing. This is clearly...
No, I understand. What I'm trying to say is that you know where the terrorists come from because you were one once. You are now a Christian living in a fundamentally Christian nation that is being eaten alive by a Muslim president. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation.
It seems like my appeals are falling on deaf ears. Mm-hmm. I implore those patriotic Americans that would probably vote for Donald Trump in November. I appeal to them not to vote for hatred, not to vote for fear-mongering. Vote for unity. Vote for the goodness of this country. Vote for liberty and freedom.
All right, turn him off.
So
he's a lawyer, an immigration lawyer, sells green cards. Unfortunately, he lost his son in war. He was tricked into smearing Donald Trump. The evil machine behind Hillary Clinton used him at the DNC convention, used his dead son for the most disgusting purposes, and the father now is enjoying his 15 minutes of fame by going on all of the left-wing outlets in America, which are all of the outlets in America. And it seems to me that the Islamic front, that's a good phrase, the Islamic front here in America has never been more successful than it is today. It is at a very, very high watermark today in having found a couple that lost a son in Iraq to use in an attempt to undermine Donald Trump. And as well as wherever we turn, there is incessant propaganda of no connection between Islam and terrorism, etc. Today, I woke up and found out that I was banned on my own Facebook page. I didn't write anything because I banned violent statements from my Facebook page. I linked an article from a British newspaper from last week, which showed that a Muslim who had gone through the streets, one of the cities in Germany, with a machete, killed a 9-month pregnant German woman. Facebook said that you are banned, that you are violating terms of service. There's a 24-hour hold on all of your posts, Michael Savage. That's the censorship I am facing because the Islamists and the Islamic Front, who are not one and the same thing, but may as well be the same thing, the greedy businessmen, are working hand in glove with the Islamists to silence all of us who are trying to spread the word like Paul Revere before we are all under the yoke of Sharia law. Now, joining me is a man who knows more about it than you do or I do, Walid Shoebat, line 10. Walid, please welcome back to the Savage Nation.
Thank you, Michael.
Walid, do you agree with me that there is an Islamic front in America?
Yes, absolutely. And it all revolves around the immigration of Muslims into this country, as we've seen in Europe. And this stems from the history of Hillary Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin, and family, in which Sayyid Zain al-Abidin, her mother also, Saliha Mahmoud Abedin, collaborated with the Saudis, just as Mr. Khan is doing. And he's an immigration lawyer, mind you, in which she stated, this is Huma's own words, in the Journal for Muslim Minorities, well over 90% of mosques in the United States are either funded by the Turkish government, which has a Waqf department, and the Saudi government, which has a Waqf department, spending billions of dollars in mosque building. And if, assuming an imam does not kowtow to the Wahhabi agenda, he's let go. And so we have, this is the whole connect with what the Muslim minority affairs issue. And the mosques is just like the Jewish community. The synagogue is a magnetizing force for the Jewish community. The same thing. A mosque is a magnetizing force for Muslims to move in a community. And so from using the Muslim minority affairs, the Saudi government, in fact, everybody should look up the Saudi manifesto and my name and read oodles of pages on how far back the Saudi government was working to spread Sharia in the...
All right, well, let's slow down because the average person's not up to us. Walid, what is Wahhabi Islam? When did it start? Why is it different than regular Islam?
Well, Wahhabi Islam is the real source of Islam from Saudi Arabia by Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, who basically founded al-Qura University and other universities in Saudi Arabia to spread the Wahhabi cause. In fact, you find President Obama's cousin, Musa Ismail Obama, speaking in Al Jazeera, advancing and visiting al-Qura University, which is the mother of all Wahhabi universities globally. And so there is a connection even with Obama's family, not just Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin, but Malik Obama, Saeed Obama, the uncle of President Barack Obama, working with the Saudis in infiltrating in Africa, sending donations and monies for recruiting of thousands and thousands of students to become imams and so on and so forth in the Wahhabi ideology.
But what is the Wahhabi ideology, Walid? In 30 seconds or less, what is it?
That the earth is owned by Allah and the whole earth needs to be conquered by Allah, as Taha Jabr al-Alawani.
And we're letting this spread in the United States of America like a cancer?
In a big time. It is already spread in Europe, and look at what happened. You have an immigration problem. in Europe, a major immigration.
Walid Shoebat is the man who knows more about this than anyone you'll ever meet. You can visit him at Shoebat.com. This is the